What is up, everybody? Happy top of the year. Today is January 5th. It's a wonderful Sunday and meeting with a new friend of mine, Lindy. Lindy, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. So, what I brought Lindy on for is something I've done myself several times is a career change. She's gone through that process now. And when we met, it was one of those things where I was like, this is exciting because I love hearing about why people make major changes. It's one thing to go like, oh, I'm changing brand of coffee. You're just like, no, I'm taking a whole 180 degrees from where I was going with the job, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna talk about that. What prompted it. I think a lot of what we get from here can really help guide people who are stuck in that transition themselves. They have a job, maybe they're not happy with it, they want to explore different spaces. Hopefully this can help give them the fuel, the catalyst, and help them ask the right questions of themselves before they do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
For
So
sure.
how Lindy and I met is something I think more people need to know about, right? Folks table.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Folks Table is, I think it's an app that focuses on just strangers meeting and talking and really having deep conversations. A buddy of mine launched it, Dallas Condra. He launched it along with his friend Emma, and yeah, and that's how we met. And it was my experience with it, with Folk Sable, was just incredible. Definitely not what I expected. I expected it to be more awkward, but starting conversations with strangers and getting deep was actually a lot easier than I realized, for sure.
Yeah, I think we had the right group to do it with because I think all of us besides you, this was our first one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So we were all come in like no expectations and a pretty diverse group, really.
Yeah, really diverse.
Yeah,
Yeah, looking back, yeah, everyone's very different in their own way. It was
exactly.
cool to see. It was cool to see for sure.
Very fun group.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
which kind of what prompted me reaching out to you saying, hey, I know you just met me. Will you do a podcast with me? One of the prompts that came up was career change that resonated with me, but I
Yep.
was also like, hey, you just met me. Will you do this with me?
Well, you're very like right when I met you, I was like, you're a very genuine person, and I was like, heck yeah, that sounds awesome. So I appreciate you having me on the show. Yeah.
No, no. Thank you so much for accepting the opportunity. Yeah, so you're doing career change. Let's talk about a little where you're at today, then transition to where you're going.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
right now, your education, if I remember correctly, please keep me honest here, is like exercise science, kinesiology, in that space,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A good memory for sure. Yeah, it was exercise science. I got a bachelor's in kinesiology, and I played tennis in college as well. And then after that, I was like, I don't know where to go from here. I never really, when I was in college, I was um just focused on tennis and not really focused enough on what I wanted to do the rest of my life. And then when I graduated, I was like, well, I do like exercise. I do enjoy coaching tennis. And then from there, yeah, just took a full-time pro position. And then ever since have been coaching. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. So from that, there are three questions I have. I hope we can deep dive into. First one is, what is kinesiology? I have no idea what that actually means.
That's a really good question. So kinesiology is the study of how your body, yeah, actually, it's practically like a fancy word for exercise science. So it's just studying the body under exercise. A lot of a lot of students who major in kinesiology go on to physical therapy. That's kind of the main route, which I did think about doing that, but yeah, just never committed. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Thank you for explaining what that is.
Yeah, yeah.
And you said you're a tennis pro. This is something I think a lot of people get lost in sports on. Is there's a difference between being a tennis pro and a professional tennis player, right?
100%. So like if I was to put a ranking system in tennis pro and then professional tennis players are a whole different realm. I could probably get a game or two off a professional tennis player. There's a big jump between the two. A pro is like professional tennis player is about 1%. of the population. Very, not many people can go pro because it's so high intensity, intense tennis. And then teaching pros can, like, some of them can do professional tennis, but most of them are just, we're college players. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the difference.
Okay. No, that makes sense because it seems like, same when you're talking about golf, tennis, any sport, there's two levels. And sometimes people
Yeah.
are like, oh, I didn't know you played professionally. It's like, no, no, no. They're two very different things.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a big difference for sure. But who knows? Sometimes there's a couple yeah, sometimes there's a couple coaching pros who, come on, Winnie, how about you sit down? This doggy is clingy. There he is. Yeah, there's a couple coaching pros that could turn pro, but most of the time it's very like pro is the best of the best, and then teaching pro is a couple notches down.
I
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for clarifying. And how did you land on tennis? Like growing up where I did, tennis is just not a thing there. So whenever I hear people
Really?
are into it, yeah. Like I
Where
grew up
did
in the
you grow up?
Midwest.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, middle of nowhere in a desert,
Gotcha.
a thriving metropolis of 40,000 people, and just tennis. There's a few people there that play tennis, I'm sure, but it just
Yeah, yeah.
mainstream. It was not a thing where I grew up.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I think the how I started was my parents played a little bit and we were just trying out different sports. I have three brothers, so they one clung to baseball, one clung to basketball, football, and so I was just trying out different sports, see what I liked. And I ended up liking tennis. Yeah. I started when I was about 5 or 6. But I didn't actually really like it until 12. There was a big gap there where I just, yeah, I didn't, I think if I remember correctly, I started tennis around 5 or 6, and then, yeah, that, I quit for a little bit, a couple of years, and then I beat my twin brother in baseball, not baseball, in tennis, and I ended up, yeah, was like, wait a minute, I think I could do well at this if I haven't played at all and I in 2 years and I beat him. So yeah,
So
that's
that's
kind of
kind of the catalyst. You're like, I showed my brother what's up, and I got to double
exactly.
down on this.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Has he
Yeah.
beat you since then? We got to have the
No,
record here.
most definitely not. But I was a cheater when I was a kid with my siblings, no one else. But I would cheat in everything. I could not let any of my siblings win whatsoever. So when in doubt, cheat, I guess, when you're a kid. But um yeah, yeah.
That's funny. So
Yeah.
do whatever you have to do to beat the siblings, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, yeah. But then outside the siblings, it's fine. Don't be a good sport, right?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Appreciate that. So you're doing tennis. You're pro. You're teaching people.
Mhm.
When we met, you were like, I'm looking for something different.
Yeah.
You're like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm doing a career change. You're going from physical active to comp sci. What was the catalyst where you're like, I need to change something?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I've had many friends and family members be like, Lindy, what? What is this? Yeah. Yeah. So really what happened is tennis, like coaching tennis, it's very physical. It's easy to get burned out. You have to work a lot of hours. There's a lot of downsides. Just got tired of it and I started thinking about what other things I would be good at. And um my main thing, the main catalyst that made me go back to school and get another bachelor's in computer science was I just started looking at my future and being like, okay, what do I want to be able to do that I can't do right now? Okay, oh, I want to travel. Right now, I definitely can't travel more than a couple of days, maybe a week at a time per year. And that's what I want to do. I want to work from home. Okay, let's look for careers where that's a possibility. And that's really kind of um, the idea of computer science popped in my head. Yeah, that was the start of it for sure.
No, those are all great points. To kind of backtrack slightly to all of them, you talk
Yeah.
about being a coach is, a very physically demanding job. Talk us
Yes.
through that a little bit more. What a
Yeah,
typical
for
day is
sure.
for you as a coach or a pro?
Yeah. Yeah. So, the typical day of a coach would be Get to work around 7. Well, you get to work around 6:45, on court by 7. And so there's different types of lessons. There's like hitting lessons, and then there's lessons where you're teaching beginners. A typical day for me would be like a hitting lesson maybe from 7 to 9, and then maybe a tennis clinic where you have multiple ladies or men for an hour and a half. Then yeah, so 10:30, and then private lessons I would say from 10:30 to 2, maybe a couple more hitting lessons from 2 to 4, and then junior development clinic from 4 to 6. So that's it. That's actually what my Monday looks like currently. And those aren't bad. There's days where it's like I used to work like 14-hour days. It was just wild. Right now where I work, you get lunch, free lunch, but a lot of us coaches are too stubborn to take any breaks. So we like scarf down our food while like our lessons are picking up or while we're picking up balls. But the physically demanding part would be the hitting lessons and the just, on your feet like 13, 14 hours a day easily. Yeah, that's it.
Sorry, I've got a sneeze and it just will
No,
not come
you're
out.
fine. You're all good.
We'll fix all this in post. Nobody will know the difference.
That's funny.
So 14-hour days of highly physical, and that has to wear you down.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of, yeah, I feel like a lot of people think, oh, you're a coach, you stand a lot, you feed a lot. But no, like you move a lot. Like even in my beginners, I'm still rallying a lot, moving around the court, running. So even if you don't have any hitting lessons where you're exerting, a lot of energy, it's tough. So, and it's a very emotionally, it can be an emotionally taxing um, job too, because a lot of coaches are, you act as you're listening most of the day. You're asking how they are, and a lot of the time, like it's deeper than tennis. A lot of the time, I'm like, oh, how are you today? "Ah, I'm sorry, you're not feeling wrong. You're not feeling good. What's up? So yeah, it's a lot of different aspects than other than just feeding a ball.
On your feet, always moving. What are injuries like? Because I'm always curious, like people who are super active jobs like this, day in, day out. I'm guessing you're somewhat more likely to be injured just because you're always go, 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 but maybe I'm wrong. What is that
Yeah,
like?
that's a really good question. I've actually seen more injuries than I've been pretty lucky with injuries. A lot of the time it's like my ankle hurts or just overuse. Right now, there's no injuries. I've never been injured to where I need to take off work. A lot, what I see in other coaches is we're also active unless you're, 60 plus. I haven't seen many coaches get injured just because we are careful and we're pretty active. What I see a lot is players who don't play very often. Maybe it's a husband, and I see he comes like, maybe twice a year to a clinic, and then he pops a calf. That's what happened last week. So I see a lot of players who aren't very active. They want to show off their tennis skills, and then they pop a calf. That's mainly what I see.
Pop a calf. What is that?
Yes, that's kinesiology. No, no, it's not. It is like you just strain your calf, or sometimes you tear the calf muscle. I've seen, that's the number one injury I've seen coaching tennis, or Achilles. That's brutal, tearing your Achilles. But yeah, to answer your question, no, injuries aren't. It's more just exhausted. Your body is very tired, a lot of the time.
The perpetual fatigue that comes from always
Yeah,
going.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Awesome.
Um,
No,
no.
I've always wondered about that because like clearly tennis is significantly more active than like golf is. Like
Yes.
golf is a
Yeah.
nice little leisurely walk. You get to have fun with it, but tennis, you rally, they rally back, you rally back, they go the other way, you got to run to the other side of the court.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of coaches are good about if your right arm isn't feeling well or like not feeling good, then you can try to feed with your left hand. You can try to like toss the ball. There's ways of kind of babying your, the ankle or the arm for a little bit until it feels better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. No, there's always that workaround you can do to try something a little different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. not everybody there's that much into being like a tennis pro and everything that goes with it. And I didn't realize it was like 14-hour days because in my mind it was like posh country club, like, somebody comes in for a class or two, but then like I didn't
Yeah.
realize you were like classes all day, some sort.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've cut back a lot, thankfully, but I mean, my coworkers, some of them work 60-hour weeks, and I'm like, and they've been in the industry for 20, 30 years. And I'm like, that is brutal.
Oh yeah.
Brutal. Not where I want to be, to say the least.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna ask a personal question. Feel free
Yeah.
to tell me you're not comfortable with it. Obviously, with the career change comes a change in money, the potential outcome for that. What
Yeah.
does a tennis pro make?
That's a good question. So, if you're making, it depends. It depends on where you work. I have a really good job, so we make, a little bit, I would say about 120, 110 in Nashville. But if you do part-time, yeah, I would say like 60 or 7. Yeah, 60,000. But it really depends on where you work. If you have a salary, some offer salary, some don't. It's mainly off of commission, so per hour. But I mean, I've my first job in Knoxville, Tennessee was, they severely underpaid us. So it really depends on where you live. Yeah.
For sure. And I would be completely honest, I was not expecting the numbers you just gave me. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but I thought it was going to be lower for some reason.
Yeah, a lot of people that I get that a lot. I like to surprise people. It's a great job. It's the best job in Nashville to say, or in Tennessee for sure. Pay wise. But yeah, I mean that's why everyone wants a country club job because it pays so well.
That's
You
fair.
do work a ton. You do work a lot. But yeah, if you have the
Well,
clientele, you can make a lot of money teaching tennis for
yeah.
sure, for sure.
Solid. I learned a lot in
Yeah.
that entire thing. So thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So the money's good, the work-life balance, you're always exhausted. So you're like, I need
Yeah.
something different pace of life, right? So comp side, talk us through that. Like, I know you want the flexibility, the ability to travel, take time off. What else is there that drove you down that path?
Yeah, it's a really good question. My main thing was I felt like I've been defined just for tennis, or I've kind of defined myself as, the tennis coach or the tennis player. And I want to be able to work with the team and solve problems and build things, yeah, that I do with my brain, not just moving. So, yeah, that's one thing I'm looking forward to doing and what I was seeking when choosing computer science.
You said something that, again, that I found interesting. Obviously, you have a sports background. You're used to working in teams by yourself, depending on the event. I think people that play sports, that leadership mentality, understanding of the dynamic, really translates well to like a corporate environment because you're not afraid to collaborate with somebody on winning the big game, for an example. Like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we need to do to be successful. Whether it's your coach coaching you on how to do the thing, team sports. And I
Yeah.
think there's something to be said about playing a team sport,
Mm.
regardless of the level you play at, whether it's just casual rec league, beer league, professional,
Yeah.
whatever. What do you think about that? Do you think that translates?
For sure, for sure. I think, especially tennis, there was a really interesting research that came out that said that tennis is the number one sport for your brain. And because you have to, there's a lot of, it's not just physical, you have to think a lot when you're playing. So I think that can build, yeah, that can really build problem solving skills. And that in especially coaching tennis, you have to speak up. I've worked with a lot of coaches. Like tennis is the best players are the most confident, to say it politely. I've worked with a lot of coaches who are very confident. So like you have to really speak up if you want, to do something in a clinic or really stand your ground, you have to speak up. So that's how tennis or coaching tennis has really helped me with my leadership skills for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great example. Thank you for sharing that. So your goal is, be on a collaborative team, solve problems. Obviously, computer science touches every industry known to Earth on any some capacity. Like, is there a certain industry you're headed to? You want to do like, healthcare? You want to build the next Facebook? What are you looking for?
That's currently what I'm trying to figure out. Right now, I'm still trying to be pretty well-rounded, just like anyone in the computer science field. Data science is very enticing and definitely something I'm looking into. And I want to steer away from, I think I'll do an internship or two, but I want to steer away from just classic like software development because due to machine learning, to AI, you don't really need software developers at a lower level. The upper levels, that's when you need software developers. But ideally, I would like to work with a team. And right now, the data science world is calling me. But who knows? That's something I'm still trying to figure out for sure.
No, and you saying data science is actually a great thing because well, weeks ago before this was recorded, I'd met with a group here in Nashville. I'll send you the details when we're done here, but it's pretty much a group, a meeting of like data science or data scientists, data analysts within Nashville.
Cool.
Sometimes it's just casual conversation of these are the problems we're seeing in our organization. Can we spitball ideas to sometimes they're hiring, it's a chance to network to sometimes it's just a conversation on what's the state of the market.
Huh. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I met some super interesting people in there. Yeah, I think, as you're looking at these opportunities, like a chance to go meet, 25 data analysts in one shot would be stellar.
I will definitely get those details from you later.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would love that. Any connections, just especially meeting someone face to face is just
yeah,
yeah, just making that connection's huge. So I would love
yeah.
that.
Because there I met one of the lead data scientists for Monster Energy with their HQ here. Like
What?
some really interesting people. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. He's just a casual guy. You wouldn't even think he's lead data analyst, but yeah, he's got his like rain gear. One of the Monster brands, and just super cool networking event.
That's
So,
great.
yeah,
It's
I'll
always
def
those guys who you think, the really successful ones who yeah, you think like from the looks of them, you would think oh, it's not um, not that successful, but yeah,
oh
that
yeah,
sounds about right.
exactly. So yeah, I'll get you those details.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, super cool group. They meet, and I'll take all this random conversation part out, but they
Yeah,
meet like once a month at Fido, kind of downtownish area.
I know Fido.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, super cool place. The coffee's good, the company's good.
Awesome. Awesome. I'll definitely
Yeah,
have to get those details because that's
yeah. Glenn, the guy that runs it, we were talking about a lot of people there are in transition, looking for that next opportunity. And I come from a tech recruiting background. I used to be a tech recruiter for Robert Half, and
oh,
I used to hire
yeah.
or hire data analysts for my clients. And the one thing I always told every data analyst is like you have to learn to tell a story with data because data is numbers on a spreadsheet. It means nothing by itself. You have to give it a voice, you have to give it a story, you have to tell what the data actually means.
Interesting.
Because there's so many times I've worked with analysts, I'm like, I need you to compile this data. It's a project for you. And they're like, oh, this isn't working. I'm like, no, I know it's working. That's why I gave you the project. What about it's not working, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if you can get to where you can master the soft skills of giving data a voice, giving data a story, that'll accelerate your career so much.
Yeah, thank you for that advice. That's really interesting. Yeah, I'll have to think
Because
about that for sure.
I've worked with so many people in the tech space who they're extremely competent in everything they do,
Yeah.
but they don't know how to communicate.
Yes, that's one thing I've heard too is yeah, they've just their skill is so good in the computer science world, but yeah, just the interacting, the social aspect is a little, it's tough.
Yeah, that'll take you further than any
Yeah.
technical skills will. Yeah, I always tell everybody people hire who they like to work with, not the best candidate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that's fair for sure.
So,
That makes sense. There we go. The sun was catching me. Okay, that's better.
no, you're good. It's funny, like periodically I've seen the dog like wandering around behind you in the room.
Gosh. That dog, he's fine now though.
He's
He's
chill.
chill. He gets really anxious when I'm not in the room, so I'm not surprised he made his way back.
Awesome. So now we kind of took a weird detour, but I was like, oh, there's so much stuff I want to tell you while I'm thinking about it.
No,
So yeah,
you're
just
fine.
kind of as we jump back into it, I'm just going to go into touch back on data analysts and then problem solving from there.
Okay.
So I know we mentioned you want to do data science, you want to bring all the data together, solve problems. What's the appeal of solving problems to you?
Another very good question. Um, the appeal of solving problems. I would say, well, that's a good question.
I didn't mean to give you an existential crisis.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. I'm trying to think like why do I even want to solve problems? Like it's a really simple question, but it's just like, wait a minute, why though? I think it's to better, I think it's, yeah, I don't think I need to overthink it to help others. That's what I do essentially on the court, on the tennis court, is helping someone get better in tennis. Same thing with, yeah, same just problem solving in general is to helping others. So I could see that in both tennis and the computer science world.
Yeah. No, that's solid. Like solve problems and that helps somebody do something, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Then you said something else I want to touch back on. And please correct me if I quote you incorrectly. You said a lot of companies don't need junior developers because of AI. Walk me through that thought process. I'm curious how you landed on that.
Yeah. So I think a lot of if you think about the level one of software development, people think about creating websites. Like that's what the common like just if you don't know anything about computer science, you think like you're going to school for computer science, you want to create websites or create apps. And that's what I mean is like I want to shy away from doing that. That's not something I do know how to do that because like those are the that's the foundational. You still need to know how to do it, but do I want to do it as a career? No. Just that, yeah, that thinking from others is like you do apps or you do websites. But yeah, that's just what I want to shy away from. I'm sure I'll do it or help maintain a website or something in an internship, but as a career, I wouldn't. Not something I see myself doing or necessary with AI coming.
No, that's fair. I can appreciate that. With AI and the development space, I'm not in this space. I'm not a developer,
Yeah,
so I'm curious how you use AI in your workflows to call back to helping you solve.
yeah, yeah.
So, like, what's your AI workflow? Do you have toolkits? Do you even use AI like ChatGPT or Gemini or?
Yeah, I don't use much AI. I use it just to, what do I even use it for? Really, I use AI the most. I use Chat GPT the most. Like if I'm learning a new language, I am trying to create a project or create a program in like a different IDE, which an IDE is practically like a interface that helps you write code. So if I'm not familiar with that interface that writes code, I chat GPT it. I'm like, okay, how do I open a file? Like the simplest things, but it's very helpful. I try to not use it like it's considered cheating if you, this is huge in schools. If you say, oh, I want to create a program and let chat GPT code it, then and copy and paste. Don't recommend that.
I can
But
see that
yeah.
would be frowned upon if it's not you doing the
Oh,
thing,
for
it's
sure.
ChatGPT.
Yeah. Well, and it's very obvious. Like you can tell because ChatGPT would use a whole different route for the code than what you are. So yeah, definitely wouldn't recommend that. But I that's the only time I use it is when I just have basic questions. And it just saves me some time rather than just looking it up on the internet.
One use case I've seen for it is use it to like clean up or optimize code a little bit. Have you ever tried that?
Yeah, like I've used it the most if I like on code you need a comment and your the comment should be very readable even if you don't know necessarily what the code is. You know, through the comments that's the idea is you the comments should tell you. Sometimes my comments are too compliment are way too complicated. So that's when I put in my code. I'm like, okay, just tell me make it more readable, make the comments more readable.
Yeah, make it make sense. You talking about comments and code reminds me of a meme I saw on Reddit some years ago. This guy had commented on a section. He's like, I'm the original developer. I have no idea how this program works. good luck fixing it. Here's everybody that's tried before you. They haven't been able to fix it. As a comment list, people are just like adding their names to it. It's like 30 names deep, and like nobody's been able to optimize the code to work differently. So it's just funny how like comments you can like say this is what this does, or you can throw shade at somebody or be
Mm.
like, good luck. I don't know what this does.
That's so funny. I didn't realize people did that. That's really funny. Yeah, and essentially it is you're communicating with another engineer. So
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense for sure.
Yeah. Just trying to help them understand what it is they're looking at.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny.
Awesome. No, so you've got clearly you're passionate about it, solve problems, use data, condense it down to solve problems, whatever that may look like. What are your goals outside of like learning the skill set and solving problems? Are you looking to, make fat stacks of cash, flexibility? Like
Yeah,
what's your ultimate goal with this career change?
yeah, it's a good question. The beginning of school, I was really focused on, oh, I want to work from home. I want to work from home. It'd be awesome to be sitting down like for 8 hours. That sounds great to me. But I kind of forgot how social I am and how I really do like interaction and a connection, and especially if I'm working with the team, I want to be able to see them for a little bit. So definitely hybrid. I would like to, see the people I'm working with. And yeah, I think my goals and again, it's very flexible. Right now we're still figuring it out, but my goal right now is just finding a place when I graduate that, offers that hybrid option and I'm able to work up from there. Yeah, yeah, it's very open at the moment.
No, you're flexible. I get it. Yeah, it sounds like you've really touched on something you want to do. You're like, hey, this gives me the lifestyle I want, or the potential to give me the lifestyle I want, the flexibility. And kind of leads me into, a closing thought here is what does a career mean to you? It's something
Yeah.
going to be something different to everybody, especially as life circumstance changes. But for you, Lindy Tatum, on today that is today, what does a career mean to you?
Yeah. Well, to me, a career means impacting others. I really use that as my foundation on if you strip out everything, if you strip out the tennis, if you strip out computer science, it's no matter what I end up doing, I want to impact others in a positive way.
No, that's solid. I think I've never thought of it that way of, a career is your opportunity to help others solve whatever the problem is in your career, right?
Yeah.
I've never thought of it that way because as I briefly alluded to in the intro or pre-recording, is like I've changed careers 3 times
Yeah. Yeah.
because I started off as a mechanic, got an accounting degree, realized I hate accounting, and now I'm doing HR. But then I'm clearly doing this, so maybe it's another career change in the future.
Yeah.
Boss, if you're watching this, I'm not leaving anytime soon. But
No, it's so funny. I laugh because accounting, you're not the only person that, went into accounting and then realized they hated it. And there's a common that's a very common thing I'm learning.
other people that have told you they hate accounting, what was their reason?
They didn't give me a reason. They just said it was, I just hate it. And even I have a family member who's in accounting and he's doing pretty good, but I he doesn't seem happy. Like, are you sure this is something you want to continue to do? But, you know, it is what it is, I guess.
I think that's it because you're in Excel. This is my reason, anyways. Like I was in Excel all day, and once I got really good at doing like basic macros and stuff, like I automated most of my job.
But yeah. Yeah, that's what I think you could do a lot of a lot of automation with that. But
Yeah, because I used to have one cash account I used to reconcile for a company I worked for. When I first got it, it was this 8 hour all day project.
yeah.
I was like, okay, well, let's see how we can optimize this. I did things over time, and by the time I left there, it went from 8 hours to 12 minutes.
Oh my, that's awesome. That is cheating the system right there. That's awesome.
100%. Like at that company, I genuinely worked myself out of a job
Yeah.
because I had one Excel macro that for the main cash account reconciliations we do, it would do it in 90 seconds. Like I'd have to look if there's any errors, but like 90 seconds, it was done.
My gosh. Wow.
Like there's only so much I could like fake to be busy. Finally, I was like, this
Yeah.
this isn't gonna work. I have to either you got to give me more to do, or it's time for me to move up and out.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So
That's crazy.
yeah, it's wild. Like if you can learn just a little bit of programming in any language, you can use it to solve problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
So no, I'm very excited to hear what you do with your future here.
Yeah, yeah, and thank you so much for
Yeah,
having me on. I really appreciate it.
no, of course. And yeah, I'd love to do one of these again. Maybe I can play you in a tennis game one of these days. You have to play left-handed though. You
Look,
can't play with your
hey,
main
that's
hand.
fun. That's perfectly fine. It's hard. It is tennis is difficult. I'm reminded with when I play with my left hand. So I'm down. Tell me when. It sounds fun.
There was a funny story on Reddit I was reading. This guy's like, we got this was table tennis, but he's like, we got table tennis, and he's like, I got to where I could beat everybody in the office, and like this one guy that was really good, he's like, I finally started to beat him, and he's like, you realize I'm right-handed, right? And he switched the paddle to his right hand, and I never beat him again.
So,
Just sandbagging your coworkers like that
yeah.
for months on end, and like, I'm right-handed, and
Man, that's funny. That sounds about right. So there's
yeah,
always that one person. Always that one person.
percent, yeah, they're always out there. The savants you don't even think about, or
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. For sure.